Greetings, everyone. On behalf of PATA Singapore chapter and our events partner, TTG Asia Media, a very warm welcome to the SG Tourism United Forum. It is really nice to be able to come together after such a long time, albeit virtually. It's amazing how we have managed to stay afloat in this pandemic, and we must pat ourselves on the back for being so resilient. Travel and tourism is a huge ecosystem. To succeed, we need the collective wisdom and efforts of everyone in the industry. The impact of the tourism industry is unprecedented. No business model is designed to deal with near zero revenue over an extended period of time. Compared to other countries, we're indeed very fortunate to have the wage support schemes from our government and many grants and initiatives from government agencies such as STB and ESG. We must therefore be grateful and appreciative. The private sector must also do its part. While every tourism industry sector is unique, we must avoid working in silos. We have a common enemy, COVID-19. It is time for solidarity. Let us unite and leverage on the power of one. PATA acts as a catalyst for the responsible development of travel and tourism to, from, and within the Asia-Pacific region. With many borders progressively reopening, PATA Singapore chapter is happy to bring together our tourism stakeholders to prepare for tourism recovery. The Singapore government has decided on an endemic approach, the strategy of living with COVID-19. This will have great implications for the tourism business. Without a playbook, there'll be more questions than answers. We are now dealing with Omicron. New variants will continue to mutate. The truth is that no one knows for sure when this will ever end. But the show must go on. There's no best time to prepare. Recovery will come. It is not if, but when. We have basically two options. Do nothing and wait, or let's be bold and agile enough to execute, learn, and adapt as we go. For this 2 half-day forum, we will have updates from 8 of our association partners, plus an industry overview from STB, as well as presentations from Changi Airport Group, Singapore Airlines and Dream Cruises. There will be a panel discussion this morning and tomorrow morning as well to look at the possible scenario in the next 12 months. No point trying to forecast 3 or 5 years ahead. 12 months is already almost impossible to predict. There is opportunity in crisis. Let's reimagine and rebuild a more resilient, more sustainable, and more responsible tourism industry. An industry that we all could truly be proud of. Thank you everyone for joining us here today. May 2022 be a better and healthier year for all of us. Do take time off to enjoy the coming festive season with your loved ones. We deserve it and we need it. Have a productive forum. Now, in a few weeks' time, we will welcome the new year. How did Destination Singapore fare in this crisis so far? To give us an industry overview, let us welcome Ms. Jeannie Lim, Assistant Chief Executive, Singapore Tourism Board.
Mr. Wong Soon Hwa, Chair Pata and Chairman Pata Singapore Chapter, friends and colleagues from various parts of our tourism sector, a very good morning. Thank you for having me at the SG Tourism United Forum. It has been more than a year and a half since the COVID-19 pandemic began, but we have come a long way since by safely reopening tourism establishments, pivoting to the domestic market, deepening the skill sets of our tourism workforce, gradually conducting various pilots, and opening up green and vaccinated travel lanes. All of this has been possible because of your collective efforts as a tourism sector. I'm heartened to see many of you participating actively through various platforms, such as Tourism Recovery Action Task Force or TRAC, where we discuss tourism recovery strategies and plans. Some of you were also involved in the Emerging Stronger Task Force, Alliance for Action for Tourism, where industry and government work together to explore and pioneer new ways to facilitate safe and innovative visitor experiences in a COVID-19 environment. 2021 has continued to be a tough year, with disruptions and setbacks due to the Delta variant. But I'm proud to say that the tourism sector has been resilient in the face of challenges, and together we have made some good headway in the past few months. For example, Singapore has opened up the vaccinated travel lane scheme. While we do not expect an immediate major uptick in inbound tourism, with consumers slowly rebuilding their confidence to travel, these VTLs represent an important step to progressively reopening our borders and reclaiming and rebuilding Singapore's international aviation hub status as we move towards COVID resilience. MICE and business events have resumed in Singapore. To date, over 160 MICE events hosting more than 30,000 participants have been held in Singapore under the Safe Business Events Risk Management Framework. Some of these events include the Bloomberg New Economy Forum, the Milken Institute Asia Summit 2021, and Industry Transformation Asia Pacific, all of which were held in November. These events help Singapore to retain our relevance as a leading business hub and preserve important local jobs and businesses. We have also announced the extension of the consumption period for the Singapore Rediscovers Vouchers, or SRV. While all SRV bookings for eligible attractions, tour, and hotel experiences must still be made by 31st December 2021, the validity period to enjoy or consume these experiences has been extended to the 31st of March 2022. This extension will allow consumers more time to visit our attractions, tours, and hotels while providing your businesses more certainty in the start of the new year. And as Singapore starts to reopen our borders, we need to continue working together as a tourism sector to focus on 5 priority areas that will help capture a share of the pent-up travel demand. Firstly, business and human capital transformation. COVID-19 has caused many shifts in consumer demands and behavior and will continue to do so as it unfolds. Safety has become a main preoccupation for most travelers, with higher preference for activities that allow safe distancing and promote safe and clean hygienic conditions. There will also be higher demand for personalized and seamless travel experiences and online and contactless processes. As such, our industry must adapt in order to survive and thrive. Each company must press on with business transformation and upskilling efforts to stay relevant in the long run and not get left behind. It is crucial that we build our tech and data capabilities, equip ourselves with relevant data and actionable insights, and be able to test bid and scale new ideas quickly. Many of you are already working together on various business and human capital transformation efforts. For example, NATAS, SHAR, SASIOS, STGS, and ASA came together to participate in a series of operation and technology roadmap workshops earlier this year to identify challenges, the necessary skills and enablers to prepare tourism businesses and workers for the post-COVID world. This culminated in the Tourism Sector Capability Roadmap, which outlines key areas that need to be worked on for the transformation of the tourism sector. Secondly, SHA, RAS, and SRA are participating actively in the Future Economy Council Lifestyle Committee to work on transformation efforts for the hotel, dining, and retail industries. We must continue to invest in our people and our workforce to equip them with the necessary skills to be future ready. We must redesign our jobs to better optimize our workforce and also put focus on grooming the future leaders of our tourism sector. To further support the industry, STB also launched a Tourism Technology Transformation, or TCUTE, earlier this year. TCUTE is a hybrid innovation space that brings STB's digital initiatives, resources, and thought leadership content onto a single platform to support all of your digital transformation. Through TCUTE, STB developed a set of tools and solutions under a 3-step framework: learn, test, and build, to help tourism businesses accelerate their transformation. In the immediate term, STB wants to encourage tourism businesses to learn. That is, to understand their current state of digital transformation. And to do so, STB launched the Tourism Transformation Index, or TXI, which is a self-diagnostic tool that diagnoses the current state of transformation for a company and provides targeted recommendations to companies. So far, over 200 tourism companies across various industry verticals have participated and benefited from the TXI, with many finding the TXI useful and relevant for their transformation needs. TCUTE then fosters an open innovation environment for tourism business to test by cultivating a community of tourism innovators to testbed world-first innovative solutions through proof of concepts and pilots. Through the Singapore Tourism Accelerator Program, we are continuing our support for companies to develop quality solutions and piloting them with our tourism industry players. To date, the Accelerator has supported 34 startups to develop 45 various industry solutions. One example is the Ritz-Carlton Millenia Singapore that developed an augmented reality art tour for their hotel guests in collaboration with Platter, an AR company based in Australia. Finally, TCUTE enables tourism businesses to build with a suite of smart services that allow them to tap on data and shared content to drive innovation and guide their business decisions. STB also has a suite of various tools such as the Tourism Information and Services Hub, or TIH, as well as the Singapore Tourism Analytics Network, or STAN, which allows industry stakeholders access to data such as tourism statistics and visualizations to help them in their planning. And so I encourage all of you to make full use of these tools and solutions in building up your capabilities to prepare for tourism recovery. This is the most fertile period of product and experience development in the history of our industry, and now is the time to take advantage of these opportunities. Secondly, our priority for the new year ahead is on our Singapore Reimagines campaign, or SRI. We launched this campaign in November last year to engage, collaborate, and co-create the future of global travel. STB will scale up our SRI campaign to drive desirability and bookings for Singapore as we reopen our borders. Competition will be intense, with many competitor destinations rolling out their own marketing campaigns too. Therefore, it is critical that we have your support in working with us to amplify Singapore's marketing efforts. This is especially so for experiences in new areas such as sustainability and wellness. Our third priority is in creating seamless visitor experiences for our visitors to Singapore. We understand that the current travel requirements may be seen as a hindrance for some in considering Singapore as a travel destination of choice. However, we aim to make travel requirements less tedious and confusing for travelers entering Singapore by enabling a very seamless Singapore experience. For example, STB is developing digital tools on visitsingapore.com and the Visit Singapore mobile app to help visitors navigate the various entry and post-arrival requirements for safe travel. These digital tools are purpose-built to simplify travel advisories on entry eligibility and requirements, as well as safe management measures in a more intuitive manner. And it will also consolidate the visitor's relevant travel documents required for pre-boarding and immigration checks. We will share these digital tools with you when they are ready. Please do use them in your information distribution and communication to your customers. If travelers have a clear idea of what is needed and all the important information is easily within their reach, it will help to reduce the friction and encourage more visits to Singapore. Beyond having a seamless experience, we also want to curate new and engaging visitor experiences. For a strong recovery, we need to enhance our destination's attractiveness by providing a very compelling pipeline of attractive tourism products and offerings. And as international leisure travel gradually resumes over the next few years, we want our visitors to be immersed in well-thought-out experiences. This is important as consumers today demand more than just products. They expect deeper engagement and meaningful brand purpose to resonate and connect with them. This means that Singapore should be presented to potential travelers with a refreshed point of view and from an authentic local experience and perspective. Some examples of how we can do so include creating experiential dining experiences that weave in stories of our local hawkers' hard work and dedication, or curating culturally rich and unique tours and experiences that are not only popular in the local market, but also allow visitors to view Singapore through the local lens. NATAS, SHA, SASIOS, STGS, and ASA recently worked together to design and curate innovative experiences for various customer segments. These have been consolidated in an Experience Singapore compendium that was recently launched. Technology is already very much a part of our lives, and even more so after COVID-19. So we must continue to leverage these new and emerging technologies, such as augmented and virtual reality, 5G's non-fungible tokens, as well as next generation of voice-enabled technologies to reinvent our products and experiences. Some of our tourism partners are already doing so. For example, Marina Bay Sands hologram and hybrid broadcast studio, Changi Airport's automated cleaning robots, and Snow City's facial recognition contactless ticketing system. These projects all help to improve productivity while enhancing visitor experience. Lastly, to engage travelers in the future, we must be able to connect our visitors to the nature around us. This can be done in many different ways, but ultimately our goal is to usher in a new era of sustainable and responsible travel. Over the next decade, we will tap on our identity as a city in nature by developing the Jurong Lake District Tourism Development to be a world-class lifestyle destination that features the best of sustainability, innovation, nature and science. We are also reimagining the Mandai Precinct as a world-class eco-themed nature cluster. And our vision is to be a vibrant and sustainable urban destination where larger and richer experiences come with small footprints. We view sustainability as not just the responsible direction to take, but also the means to becoming more efficient and financially sustainable for both the destination and individual businesses. COVID-19 has certainly advanced the strategic case for sustainability within the tourism sector. Post-pandemic, sustainable tourism will only become more important as consumers become increasingly aware of the impact of their consumption. That is why we are investing in new products and pilots that take into account the needs of the community and the environment. In fact, we are already working towards this vision with nature-based concepts in our places of interest such as Jewel Changi Airport and Gardens by the Bay. STB is also working with hotels, MICE, and leisure event partners to champion green initiatives and green events and support the adoption of environmentally sustainable guidelines and practices. Sentosa has set the ambitious target of achieving carbon neutrality by 2030, while Mandai Wildlife Group has been championing the cause for environmental sustainability and conservation with initiatives such as the Mandai Ecological Restoration Plan. In addition, Shah set up a hotel sustainability committee last year to conceptualize solutions and strategies that bring together sustainability and commercial value to promote Singapore as a green accommodation destination. So with the support of industry leaders like yourselves, I'm certain that we will be able to achieve our vision of becoming a wellness haven and a sustainable urban destination. This forum is timely for all of us to come together as we wrap up 2021 and prepare for the new year ahead. It has been a challenging road, but all of you have demonstrated resilience, dedication, and innovation. Tourism remains a very important pillar of Singapore's economy, and our fundamentals as an attractive tourism destination remains strong. Competition will, however, continue to keep us on our toes. Nonetheless, I'm confident that with continued strong collaboration and partnerships amongst all of you in your respective organizations and members, whether for business transformation, exchanging of ideas, or co-creation of new experiences, we can position ourselves well for tourism recovery. Thank you very much for your continued support and passion. I wish all of you to have a very fruitful forum and a better new year ahead.
Thank you, Jeannie. Wow, so many initiatives and plans from STB to support the industry. What are we waiting for? Let's be proactive and take full advantage. When planes stop flying, the whole economy literally comes to a standstill. With barely 5 to 10% of pre-crisis traffic at Changi Airport for much of the past 18 months, how did Changi Airport manage to keep going? Peh Ke-Wei, Vice President, Passenger Development Division, Changi Airport Group, will share with us the Changi Airport story of resilience. Ke-Wei, please.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me at this SG Tourism United Forum. I'm Ke-Wei from CAG's Air Hub Development Cluster. My team and I are responsible for growing the Changi Air Hub. We work closely with aviation and travel trade partners to promote Singapore and Changi Airport and drive tourist traffic from various segments, including leisure, MICE, fly cruise, among others. The last 2 years have been very challenging, more so for us in the travel and aviation industry, as international travel had been decimated due to border closures. I'm sure many of you miss the times when we were able to travel for overseas trade shows and road shows, promoting Singapore in both regional and long-haul markets. To counter the challenges posed by COVID-19, CAG has put in place measures to ensure the health and safety of our passengers and our airport workers, facilitating the opening of designated travel lanes, strengthening our air cargo hub, and finding new revenue streams. At Changi Airport, safeguarding the health of airport workers, passengers, and visitors remains our utmost priority. To give passengers greater assurance of a safe travel journey, we have put in place contactless solutions that give travelers a no-touch experience, which include the contactless self-service check-in kiosks and biometric systems at immigration checkpoints with facial and iris recognition. Today, we are a zero-contact airport where passengers can move through the whole process of check-in to boarding a plane without touching a single surface, hence minimizing the risk of transmission through surface contamination. Robots are also deployed throughout Changi Airport to clean and disinfect floors and carpets daily. There is also regular testing for staff working in areas with higher risk of exposure. In September this year, Changi Airport received the ACI's Airport Health Accreditation for the second consecutive year. This is an international recognition that the health measures in place at Changi are aligned with industry best practices. CAG has been working closely with the Singapore government to jumpstart air traffic by facilitating passengers via the Air Travel Pass, reciprocal green lanes, and more recently, the vaccinated travel lanes. Border reopening has been gaining traction since September 2021 with the implementation of our very first VTL with Germany. 21 VTLs have been announced thus far across different regions, with likely more to come. The VTLs have stimulated greater travel demand to and from Singapore and brought hope to the travel and aviation industries. As more VTLs open up, CAG also enhances our engagements and coordination with our airport partners to ensure that changes in air travel processes due to new regulatory requirements are efficiently implemented for a smooth travel journey. To ensure sufficient air capacity to cater to potential increase in travel demand with the reopening of our borders, CAG Air Hub team is actively talking to foreign carriers to resume their flights to Singapore. We have also reached out to local and overseas travel agents to brief them on the air capacity situation, travel requirements, and processes so that they can provide their travelers with the most up-to-date and accurate information. This information are also made easily available to travelers on our Changi Airport website. With the strong support by our hub carrier, Singapore Airlines Group, and other foreign carriers, Changi Airport witnessed a healthy recovery in air cargo. The Changi Ready Task Force, which CAG co-led with the Civil Aviation Authority of Singapore, facilitated safe, reliable, and efficient transportation of the highly temperature-sensitive COVID-19 vaccines to Singapore, as well as through Singapore to Australia, New Zealand, and some ASEAN countries. CAG is also accelerating the air cargo industry's digital transformation efforts with the goal to enhance supply chain visibility and efficiency with the introduction of a community data sharing platform, the Changi Air Cargo Community System. Coupled with ongoing efforts to future-proof our air cargo facilities and warehouses, these initiatives will help entrench Singapore's air cargo leadership position in the post-COVID world. With passenger numbers and revenue badly hit since last year, CAG continues to reduce our cost of operations to ensure business viability. In May last year, we consolidated our terminal operations to enable CAG and our airport partners to save on running costs as well as to optimize resources to better match the much lower travel demand and flight operations. Operations at T2 and T4 were suspended, and flights have been operating from just T1 and T3. The suspension of operations at T2 has also allowed CAG to speed up the upgrading works at the terminal. Apart from addressing cost concerns, CAG is also exploring new revenue streams. We pivoted iShop Changi, our online tax-free shopping platform, to serve the non-traveler segment so that Singapore residents like yourselves can continue to shop at Changi Airport's duty-free retail outlets without even flying. To help our F&B operators at Changi Airport as well as Jewel, we launched Changi Eats, a food delivery service which has since gained very good traction. Despite the ongoing pandemic, CAG has never stopped preparing the Changi Air Hub for the gradual recovery of travel and tourism. Please allow me to share another 3 initiatives we are undertaking. First, developing the Changi Precinct. This is the area surrounding Changi Airport and Jewel. We want to develop Changi Precinct into another vibrant tourism precinct in Singapore. Over the past 2 years, we have been working with travel trade partners to curate quality tourism products and experiences to further increase the attractiveness and authenticity of Singapore as a choice tourist destination, and ultimately entrench and future-proof Changi's status as a global air hub. Second, working closely with Singapore Tourism Board and Singapore Airlines in what we call the Singapore Inc. tripartite to put together destination marketing campaigns that can be readily rolled out in selected markets when Singapore starts to reopen to travelers. Last, but certainly not the least, launching Changi Travel Circle, a B2B program for travel trade partners like yourselves, as well as others from around the world to stay connected with CAG. Our vision for this program is to build a strong network of travel trade advocates in order to capture and maximize value for both Singapore and Changi Airport. I've come to the end of my update and would like to take this opportunity to thank our organizers, PATA and TTG, for putting together this event today to reach out to our travel and aviation community. I'm sure you'll find this forum useful, and together, let's look forward to welcoming more tourists to Singapore in the months ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Ke-Wei, for sharing. We are confident Changi will retain its premier hub status once air traffic returns to normal, hopefully in the not too distant future. Now, this morning, we have with us 4 association partners to share how their respective sectors and members cope with the brutal impact of the pandemic. To kick off, let us welcome Ms. Margaret Heng, Executive Director of Singapore Hotel Association. Margaret, please.
A very good morning to all, and thank you, and my sincere apologies for the delay. And as mentioned by Sunwa, I'm Margaret, Executive Director of the Singapore Hotel Association. It is my pleasure to be here virtually this morning to share how, as an association, we have journeyed along with our members through the pandemic. When we closed the year in 2019 and started with a big bang in 2020, who would have thought that the whole world would be faced with the wrath of this dreaded pandemic created by COVID? Using medical terminology as an analogy, you can say that the hotel industry was literally infected by COVID and had to go into life support mode. Yes, it has been challenging for all of us, but it has also brought out the importance of working together as a country to overcome these challenges. For today, my presentation will focus on the following: introduction, the impact of COVID-19 on the hotel industry, our story in numbers, what has the hotel industry been doing, the reopening of our borders, living with COVID-19, the new era of travel, preparing for recovery, challenges and potential headwinds, and as we all know, recovery will come. Firstly, a brief on the Singapore Hotel Association. We are the umbrella body of hotels in Singapore. This year, in fact, is a milestone year for us. We are celebrating 60 years of SHA. Our current membership comprises 160 hotels, accounting for some 80% of total gazetted room count. The SHA has a training arm, SHATEC, which was set up in 1983 to provide skilled manpower to the hotel industry. None of us in the industry could have imagined the magnitude of the impact of COVID on tourism. When we were first hit, we thought it was going to be like SARS, but it was not to be. And the days became weeks, and now it has been close to 2 years, and there is still no sign of us being out of the woods. With the closure of the borders, it was a big blow to the industry, given that 90% of the hotel room revenue comes from international travelers. Unlike the bigger countries, our domestic market is too small to provide critical mass to sustain operations. However, with the support from the government and the can-do spirit of our hotel employees to step up to serve its government-contracted facilities, the industry managed to stay afloat despite of the challenges. The numbers, I think, would be the best way to tell the story of how devastating it has impacted us. The COVID has impacted the hotel industry. If you look at the screen now, you will see the visitor arrivals. Okay, in 2019, we had 19.12 million. In 2020, we had 2.74 million, down by 85.7. Average room rate, in 2019, we were 22 $220.82. In 2020, we went down to 154.32. In terms of average occupancy rate, it was 86.93%. In 2020, it was 57.32%. The RevPAR was 191.96 for 2019, and 2020, it was 88.46. Now, if we were to look at the full year, which is the slides is also on there, you will notice that 2021, we actually did worse off than 2020. And there is reason for it, because in the first 3 months of the 2020, we were still doing well. 2020 January, we were really boom town Charlie. 2020 February, it was still doing well until the reality struck us and COVID really hit us really bad in March itself. And that's where it was downhill all the way. So in 2021, we were looking at as at October, it was down by 92.7% compared to last year, which was 2.7 million. And of course, we don't even need to compare for 2019. We are way off the mark. In average room rate, we are looking at 154.11, which is a slight increase. Actually, that one is probably bolstered by the staycation, which is a good sign. Average occupancy rate, we went down. And then in the RevPAR, we went down as well at 78.44. So the numbers that certainly tell the story of how badly the industry has been impacted by COVID. So what has the industry been doing all this while? As the saying goes, when there is a crisis, there will also be opportunities. Hence, the industry has been actively finding ways and means to stay afloat. And this has led to creative offerings with new revenue streams amidst a COVID setting. F&B takeaways. So we have been doing things like F&B takeaways, vacations, daycations, staycations, bundled deals, like the Singapore Discovers vouchers and alternate use of accommodation, which very fortunately the government, we were functioning as government isolation facility, housing of foreign workers. So all this have been one way or the other help us to be resilient and help us to tide over this very challenging period. So the government support especially has been critical in bringing us through these 2 years. A big thank you to the government, as well as a big thank you to all our other partners who work together with us to make sure that we can offer good Singapore Rediscover vouchers. We can also have bundled deals and so forth. Okay, and then for now, we look at how we're reopening our borders. How can we now learn to live with COVID-19? That really is the most critical thing now for us. So for the longer term and for continuous sustainability, the industry will need borders to reopen and stay open. Therefore, the recent announcement on the reopening of our borders through vaccinated travel lanes is a positive step forward. It is a signal to the world that we are reopening. Many countries are on VTLs and more will be added on. I think you hear a lot of that from both Jeannie as well as from the Peh Ke-Wei. According to available statistics, 37,000 have entered Singapore via VTL as of 25th November 2021. The daily quota is expected to be raised to 15,000 with new countries. We are hopeful that this, of course, is a good start and more will come in time to come. So what is then the new era of travel? The reopening will herald the start of a new era of travel. Basically, it's about vaccinated passport and testing. Two very key to this new era of travel, because now for some of you who have already taken your VTL route and taken holiday, you realize the amount of paperwork that you have to do, but most important is that you have to be vaccinated and the amount of tests you have to do. So this is really the new regime, and it's something that we have to live with and in order for the business, for life to continue to go on. So now this means then hotels have to cater to travelers in the redefined hospitality landscape, where there are some who are undergoing self-isolation on various passes, serving stay-home notice, or dedicated or self-sourced. So these are some of the things that we have to get ready for. At the same time, we need to ensure that our professional hotel workforce continue to provide service with care and compassion, and to be well-trained to manage different travelers' profiles. How do we prepare for recovery? Yes, we have been doing quite a fair bit of that during this downturn. By, of course, first and foremost, strengthening the workforce capabilities. Shatec, our training school, has been delivering training to future-proof our hotel workforce. Shatec has also been doing quite a fair bit of training to team members from other hospitality and tourism sectors such as attractions, travel agencies, food and beverage, and MICE. In terms of adopting technology solutions, we have also been leveraging technology and redesigning jobs to adapt to the new normal during this period. Another area that what we've been doing is also enhancing our hardware to cater to endemic travelers in time to come. What are some of the challenges and potential headwinds? While the industry prepares for recovery, there are challenges such as the delicate balance between public health and social community measures. For example, the stringent safe management measures that are in place deter visitors from having their holidays in Singapore. Hence, it was noted that the bulk of VTL travelers so far are returnees, Singaporeans, and long-term pass holders. But like I mentioned earlier, we are hopeful that this will, of course, gradually change towards leisure travelers and corporate travelers and so forth. Well, there are also potential headwinds that will come from the evolving COVID situation, such as the recent recovery of Omicron, the new variant of concern. Yet another area to take note of is the uneven vaccine management program around the world. So the uncertainty of not knowing when there will be a new variant is really the biggest headache to our road to endemic state. And as mentioned by Soon Wah earlier, recovery will come. And the question is when. We are optimistic that recovery will come because of first the pent-up demand in the area of MICE, and then the fact that we are now very much into virtual and hybrid. Because of MICE, where people prefer to meet in person, so virtual and hybrid no doubt has kind of come into being, but I don't think it will ever replicate the in-person networking that a lot of us would prefer to go to for MICE events. To corporate, the need for in-person relationship building, which is also very critical. Leisure. Where leisure is concerned, I think we will now start to see longer stays in fewer destinations. So this is something that a lot of the industry players now, like hotels, will have to get ready for, to serve guests for more than 3 days, hopefully. And I think that trend, it looks likely to continue. So as an industry, we are ready to welcome the upturn. Thank you so much. And my sincere apologies to all of you for the rough start at the beginning. And I also apologize for the slides that have come out quite sporadically. I shall beg for your forgiveness. Thank you. I hope you had a good time, enjoyed the speech that I just presented. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Margaret. No worries. We live in this world that we must be prepared for all sorts of surprises. Yeah.
I hope I managed to overcome the surprise well enough to
Yes,
at least get the audience, at least be able to share some of the stuff with the audience. Thank you so much for all your kind understanding.
Thank you, Margaret. We are very confident that our resilient hoteliers will no doubt, come up with innovative ways to emerge even stronger and better post-COVID. Thank you again,
Yes,
Margaret.
thank you.
Now, the outbound business and the inbound business are actually quite different. Yeah. You can have a year where there is low arrivals, but the outbound could be booming or vice versa. Since we close our borders, interestingly, arrivals and departures were literally the same. Now, this is the first time I'm seeing such a phenomenon in my over 40 years in the travel and tourism industry. You can imagine how tough it is for our travel agency friends in such a dire situation. Some of them told me they were busy losing money. Very sad, isn't it? To share with us how NATAS members pivoted to survive, let's welcome Stephen Le, President of NATAS. Stephen, please.
Fellow colleagues in the travel and tourism sector, friends of the media, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to join you today at the SG Tourism United Forum, the present and the next year. I'm Stephen Le, President of NATAS and the Executive Director at UOB Travel. While it is unfortunate that we are unable to meet in person, I would like to extend my warm appreciation to the organizers for putting this sharing session together so as to allow us to take stock of what had happened over the last 19 months, where we are now and where we are headed. The travel agents are inevitably impacted and remain among the hardest hit among all economic sectors. Many had to operate off-site along a significant reduced workforce, pivoted to explore alternative revenue stream, and simply went into hibernation mode to tide through this crisis. While some travel agents are able to pivot to other sectors temporarily, it has also paved the permanent exit of several significant travel agencies, and some through voluntary cessation, while others through mergers and acquisitions. One significant drawback is definitely the fact that we will be facing dilution of domain knowledge and invaluable experience due to the shrinking workforce. Travel has to come because due to prolonged standstill. It was only recently that we see silver linings in the dark skies with the announcements of several VTLs. However, despite the challenges faced, our agency committee also demonstrates resilience. We observe structural effort by travel agents to train and upskill their remaining workforce in preparations of a digitized endemic travel for the world. Faced with border closure, some adapted their business model from a corporate ticketing, leisure outbound focus to cater to our domestic market via the Singapore Rediscover Voucher Program. Inbound travel agents has also upped their game with new local experiences and creative tour itineraries combining virtual and hybrid experiences. These efforts can be easily translated to new products offering catering to the overseas travelers once international travel resumes. The above mentioned is definitely one key positive takeaway, as many of us were prompted to fast-track this development in the shortest time possible in order to remain relevant and keep our heads above the water. This crisis has definitely offers us the chance to rethink at a very expensive price. The NATAS Exco has also been active in many fronts to support tourism efforts, and most importantly, lobby our government agency to look at ways to support and help sustain the travel agent businesses. Moving forward, we acknowledge the importance to realign the sectors towards sustainability and inclusivity rather than going back to the way we were before. We remain vulnerable to another future pandemic, and hence, we must be mindful to look beyond the immediate restart of tourism. As we prepare to live with endemic COVID and get ready to welcome international visitors, we do expect changes in the consumer behavior. Apart from the need for authentic and compelling offerings, safety and cleanliness, as well as clarity over regulation, will take precedence. Hence, NATAS is working with Singapore Tourism Board in the development of safe itineraries. With more VTL announcement, NATAS has organized a series of briefing sessions with partners such as CAG and SETS to prep our travel agents so that they can be better informed to assist their customers. We are also gradually collaborating with national tourism organizations to facilitate destination updates on their COVID readiness and to prepare to reconnect with our travel agents to welcome Singapore travelers through new products offering and services. The crisis confronting tourism is far from over. We are entering yet another peak travel season, downwash with the COVID-19 ongoing. We urge our government agencies to continue to offer their utmost assistance to all of us here so that the power of one, SG United, can be tapped at its best when tourism returns in full force. Thank you, and I look forward to meeting everyone very soon. Take care.
Thank you, Stephen. We are all with you and your members. Stay strong. 加油! What is happening on the attractions front? Is the Singapore Rediscovers Voucher Scheme able to provide some relief? And is local tourism revenue helping to pay for some of the bills in keeping the attractions open? Vice Chairman, Association of Singapore Attractions, Dr. Lim Meng, will provide us with the updates. Dr. Lim, please.
Thank you so much, and I hope everybody can hear me well. I will now start sharing screen. I make sure that the screen is okay for everybody. Slideshow from beginning. Okay, I hope the slides are okay. If not okay, somebody just make some noise. Okay, I take it as okay since I don't share everything. Okay, I want to first acknowledge this whole platform. I think it's nice that we could come together, albeit virtual. And I'm speaking actually on behalf of ASA. I'm the vice chairman. Technically, I belong to the government sector because I belong to MOE State Board, but the association together has been working very closely to kind of survive the COVID. So I'm going to give you an association update with the input from the EXCO members. So I'm actually speaking on behalf of the EXCO. You can find more about our ASA details in our website. And currently we have 57 members, 43 ordinary, 14 associate. And it's interesting that Singapore being very small, our attractions actually reflect the diversity of content, ranging from adventure and rides to culture and history to edutainment. Science Center is considered edutainment, lifestyle, nature and parks, and even some new ones that could not be quite classified as such. And the current status is we all try to survive. Okay, members remain in safe operation, especially thanks to the government support. We try to minimize layoffs. We sustain our business over the last 20 months with the help of COVID-19 JSS and also the rental support scheme, enticement for locals to visit the local tourism business with our SRV, as mentioned by our Songwa just now. And it is tough, and ASA has been organizing a lot of catch-up sessions with members during our AGM, as well as even extra slots for us to see how we could put together. And if not all, most of our local attractions have pivot offerings to cater to our Western market. And as we try to survive and pull through this past 20 months of COVID-19 pandemic, we face the challenges of having staffing problems and so new competencies required, and also the need to really lean towards technology and automation. I'll elaborate a bit more in my subsequent slides. The challenges faced, I purposely highlighted in my whole presentation, two red words came out, that is downsizing and scaling up. It's a paradox and dilemma. We know that the pandemic impacted us. In order to survive, to balance your P&L, we have to do downsizing. At the same time, we need to also scale up because we need to prepare for the so-called the reopening of the borders and also the reopening of the business, so to speak, as usual. Another dilemma is that it's now costing more to staff our non-operational roles, such as sales, marketing, HR, finance. And also, importantly, many of operational and frontline staff, because of the pandemic, for survival and so on and so forth, they have switched industries. Some they have left the country and probably found it hard to come back to Singapore to work in our attractions. And therefore, this created part of the dilemma that and the paradox that the attractions are facing, that is the ability of attracting talents to the industry, compounded even further by how the Institute of Higher Learning, the Singapore Poly, for the ITE and the Ngee Poly, for example, they also scaled down and cut down their intake. In fact, we were quite saddened that the Singapore Poly no more offering the tourism modules for the past year, and IT show a 50% drop in intake and 1/3 drop in intake for Ngee Poly. And all this means that the pipeline for new talents coming into our industries will suffer because if you cut the upstream, downstream later, you find that it's hard to get enough people to staff. And with a high adoption rate of technology, we also now have to require a lot of in-house data analytics skills, which will give rise to job redesign in the operations, sales, marketing, and financial departments. And all this require upscaling, require reskilling, upskilling, and also rethinking of how we operate our business. And with data comes the need to secure it and the understanding of PDPA requirements. This is another interesting, you can say, challenge and pain point, because if we are not careful about this, we will get into all kinds of trouble, because people value so-called privacy a lot. So PDPA requirement is something that we have to watch very carefully. And because of the COVID situation, we are starting to go contactless, we are starting to minimize the human-human interface. And therefore, over the past 2 years, you've seen a great shift from self-check-in to see a great shift towards self-check-in kiosks using online ticketing system, and even for interactive hybrid experiences. We've seen how technology comes in to be adopted to help us minimize so-called human-human contact. And hopefully that is one way that we cut down the virus transmission. And I know some of the attractions even shut down those hands-on interactive exhibitions and engagement. I mean, Science Center is one of such. We actually have to close down certain interactive ones because of high touch requirement. And from a ticketing perspective, most attractions now require pre-booking. And this also tie into how you can then control the number of people coming into the attractions. I think all our members in ASA are quite, in a way, cooperative, in compliance with, make sure that we don't break the per square meter density rule, and so on. And we have therefore increased in our adoption rate for e-commerce payment solutions, which is very different from 2 years ago. And suddenly everybody got to pivot to this platform, and also having to engage and explain to the visitors how we have to guide them towards this platform, because it's no more like the past. And many attractions have also started to understand and also use the power of API integration with ticketing partners and so on. So technology smartness is actually, in a way, a good thing that came out. We have accelerated our digital transformation in the attractions. So this is one so-called blessing in disguise. There's some more positive takeaway from what we look back in the past 20 months or 2 years. And one of the things is that we realized there are still a strong appetite for new attractions experiences, such that in recent time we see the Singapore's branch of Museum of Ice Cream opening. And also we are anticipating the new observation products such as the Sky Helix Sentosa. And there are some others in the pipeline. I also understand that some of our local attractions are even taking the time to transform, and they will open up with a brand new offering and brand new look and brand new program. Another positive takeaway is when you're down, you try to look up, you upgrade. You upgrade by really training your staff and adopting new technology. And earlier we also heard previous speakers talking about how we could co-create and come up with new innovation. Even Jeannie also said that it's time that we should then relook at creating new experiences that can be enhanced. And of course, with digitalization, we can have a greater use of business analytics, and therefore we can be more data-driven in the way we run our operations. And with Singapore now adopting this endemic approach, and also the opening of the vaccinated travel lanes, the VTLs, I think the confidence is starting to surface. And I think this reinstatement of confidence gradually for the sector is a good thing. In fact, some people say that the Omicron could be a mild virus, and that will probably be more dominant, and hopefully will kick away the Delta strain, and everybody just get common flu kind of symptom and not deadly. Hopefully we will see that unfolding, and therefore the VTL can even be more opened up for more. And other positive development out of the past 2 years or so is that the attractions adopted a very entrepreneurial spirit. And I can say from my own experience, and also talking to our members in the ASA, network that many of us are more innovative and creative, dare to reinvent ourselves to come up with very interesting experiences, even looking for how we could target small niche groups. And interestingly, with all the so-called cannot travel outside, people are starting to recognize the less known side of Singapore, like our nature, outdoor adventure places. I myself started cycling a lot and I discovered so many beautiful places in Singapore that I never knew existed, or I took it for granted I knew that place. So recently, I also made use of the voucher and went around to explore the parts of Singapore which I thought I knew since I was a child, but actually Singapore has transformed so much. And also the invention of hotel stays with interesting and novel family bonding activities, and to discuss our culinary heritage. These are also very interesting new product experiences. If it's not because of the COVID and because of our so-called let's travel inside Singapore and discover Singapore with SRV, we probably wouldn't have gone in as what we have started. So hopefully this will continue to grow further. And therefore, we combine together our efforts and know-how and our own interesting proposition. We can enhance existing offerings and create new programs and content for our local first, and then later, when more visitors come in, they can also enjoy that. And fundamentally, the experiences are based on small groups because of the COVID situation and crowd control. And it could still be a small group kind of treatment that we should grow. And we should leverage on existing internal and our natural resources to make Singapore a unique destination for a safe traveling. The key is experimentation and focus on attracting the very distant Singapore residents first. And if it's proven to be okay, I think the Singapore residents will be very good mouthpiece to tell our foreign visitors how Singapore is even very exciting for our own local. I think because of Singapore's way of handling and approach to the pandemic, the Singapore reputation globally, I think, is being augmented. I think we are widely known as a stringent or pragmatic society, and this could possibly appeal to more risk-adverse travelers, such as those traveling with children, and also the active silver generations, the elderly ones. When they travel, they want to go to places where the place is safe and they do not want to be at risk because of the COVID virus in the air. So these two segments have been traditionally lucrative and contribute to quality tourism. And I can say that the COVID has even let us focus more on how to cater to these two segments. And it's good that the Tourism Trade Association and chambers, like now all of us here, come together to organize seminar like this to share experiences and also collectively call out to the industry players for safe, innovative, and novel experiences that can be incorporated into safe travel itinerary for Singapore licensed travel agents. So you can see that we are all interconnected. All the associations and chambers listed here are mutually supporting and interconnectedly dependent on one another. And this COVID situation also allow us to emerge new property. The importance of rich storytelling, the one single proposition for consumer experiences, has expedited the deeper conversation on wellness and sustainability. And one new emerging experience is really going to the green tourism. We are a green island, we are a green country, garden cities, and it's Singapore, though small, we also punching above our weight in terms of the climate change and global sustainability goal. And therefore, positioning ourselves as one Singapore with a story, as a strong advocate and practitioner of sustainability is a good thing. So green tourism is indeed very exciting for us. And we rethink the travel purpose and intention of travelers. I think more and more people want to have convenience and seamless experiences, especially with so much the VTL and AMRO's testing and so on and so forth. If we could continue to focus on convenience and having seamless experiences, integrating all the players in our tourism ecosystem, I think that will again bring Singapore to the forefront of the preferred destination. And the locals want new and novel experiences, and we must not ignore them. I think we must also look at them and how we could work with them, because with SRV, I think Singaporeans discover that Singapore is also a fun place to spend holiday in. Let us not forget that they are also important part of our customers. And therefore, the importance of whole customer experience, a journey, not only attractions per se, should be in our plan as new property emerge from the way we operate and the way we offer to both locals and overseas travelers. And one question we ask ourselves, whether our members are ready for the recovery. I think in general, we should say yes. And in general, the sense is yes, I think we can't wait for the reopening. And having stayed resilient for both businesses and adaptable workforce, attractions cannot wait to welcome back tourists or retaining the Western market. So this is a new thing that we are looking at both. We have to juggle both local and overseas. And by being ready, one thing that we can sense is we are not going to do it by a lone wolf recovery. As the pandemic has shown us how we are also interconnected, and by working together, we survive better. And we're likely to see more collaboration and cooperation among members. I mean, the Science Center, for example, have already started working with our Western president. We are looking at not just attractions alone, but the F&B and hopefully in the future also in terms of how we could link up with cultural aspect that can bring our visitors, especially when we run science camp for educators, for students from the region. We like to integrate that with the attractions in Singapore. So more collaboration and cooperation will come forward, and ASA members, I like to say that we become more united and more cohesive because of the hard time that we share together. And the key priorities for next year, we have 5 or 6. I'll list them down now. First thing, of course, is to develop our workforce capability in our health, safety, security, and services, the HSSS. It is paramount because even in whatever situation, in endemic state and also in the future, the pandemic acts, we need to be always keeping our staff and guests safe as top priority. And we want to streamline the processes of hygiene, safety, centralize the resource for our business information. And in fact, because of this importance, ASA has kickstarted this priority with the formation of a safety council. You can find out more either contacting us through our website or even engage with the EXCO. We are also working closely with the workforce development agencies in Singapore, the Industries Training and Development. We create upskilling programs and equip workforce with transferable skills, especially knowing that we have to bear in mind that if the IHL do not continue to open up their training, we will have to retrain a lot of existing staff, and even attracting people who want to shift from their whatever job they are, coming back to attractions and tourism when we reopen. So all this listed here, from data analytics to customer relationship, using all kinds of integration of digital platforms, will be important for us to continue to upskill our staff in the industry. And this is my last slide. We must know that talents form the core. Without talents, you cannot create interesting offerings. Without talents, you cannot really come out with a really very appealing guest relationship, for example. So we want to focus as ASA to continue to look into how we could maintain a sustainable talent pipeline. We will also continue to organize career fairs and collaborate with all SSG and IHL to co-create frameworks of standards. And we want to also work on marketing campaigns to profile jobs in attractions industry, to let people know that it is still a very meaningful and rewarding industry. We also want to gain greater operational efficiency through the use of technology and analytics. We want to accelerate the business transformation. We have started, we have kickstarted, we have accelerated, we want to do more. And we also want to look at pre-approved funded tech solutions for attraction, working with STD and the government. Of course, digital solutions, without having to say it again and again, the fact that we are using this digital platform to do this meeting shows that the digital solutions will be with us even more while we open up to more physical. The blended experience will be almost a demand already, expectation already, that people want to have digital presence as well as physical presence in our attractions. So with this, I want to end off and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Lim. Now we are fully on board that travel and tourism is a high-tech and high-touch business. So we must make sure that we have all the talent available when tourism returns. So this is something that we must pay attention, and I'm sure we will discuss this at the panel discussion. Yeah. Now, next we are going to go over to our favorite street, Orchard Road. You know, we used to complain about heavy traffic and crowds in Orchard Road. While we can now stroll comfortably down the streets and need not contend with crowds most days of the week, but I'm sure many of us are already missing the buzz of the great streets, especially during festive seasons. How are the malls and shops in Orchard Road doing? Let's welcome Stephen Goh, Executive Director of Orchard Road Business Association, OBA, to tell us how the members are dealing with such a challenging situation. Over to you, Stephen.
Is my slide okay?
Yes, sir. Your slide is okay.
Yeah, good.
A Merry Christmas to one and all. I think Christmas is only 17 days away, so there's still enough time to come to Orchard Road and shop for your Christmas gift. And thank you, Sun Hua, and for the introductions and the invite from Pata to participate in this wonderful, meaningful forum. This is the 38 years that we have a Christmas light up. And 2 years ago, when we hit by the pandemics, the question was then, should we not have a Christmas light on Orchard Road? And it was an intense discussion between Singapore Tourism Board, ourselves, and our sponsor. And we decided that the show must go on, as what Sun Hua has said. And we take the pain and go ahead with the Christmas for 2020, as well as this year, 2021. And looking back, we have made a right decision. Imagine the Orchard without a Christmas light. So today, my presentation actually in threefold. First, I will talk about the impact of the pandemic on Orchard Road. Secondly, we talk about our efforts in trying to make Orchard Road relevant to Singaporeans. Number three is that what are the exciting upcoming plan for Orchard Roads? As what Sun Hua said, the next 12 months. But for us, for the development of Orchard Road, we want to look ahead for the next 3 years. I think there's an exciting lineup for Orchard Road that we can look forward to. I shall share this video. This is a very emotional video. I will explain later, right? Just watch the video. Thank you.
proud to be a part of this Christmas lineup for 30 years running. 3, 2, 1, I hope this will grant this difficult time, giving up people's mood, giving back to society.
Looks so beautiful and looks so much like Christmas.
Thank you. When I say this was a emotional video, because this video was released on the 7th of February 2020 during one of our major gathering of stakeholders, Lo Hei. And we are actually in the midst of beginning of the pandemic when Wuhan was announced that they are the beginning of all the COVID-19 cases even reaches Singapore. And on the same day, when we have this Lo Hei, what happened is that a lot of corporations was very hesitant to attend our event. So actually we have a 25% dropout. In fact, way back 3 days before the event, we almost want to cancel the events. But nevertheless, we stay very positive. We push ahead. 75% of the 40 tables member turn out for the events. And lo and behold, the afternoon, Singapore turned orange in the .com level, and it was scary. And so this impact of the pandemic, looking back, there's a lot of panic, there's a lot of fear, and but as associations, we stay very positive, and together with our ESCO and all our stakeholders, we want to work together, although we don't have many solutions back then. And first and foremost, my vice chair was saying that, shall we all take a haircut together? So the first major decision that we have made is that we waive all the membership fee for a year, because without looking at our association impact to the financial status, we say yes, because we suffer together. So our stakeholders stand with us, and we must stand together with them. And so during this time, the circuit breaker period, that we know that we need to have an omni-channel presence, as well as more virtual event and online campaign, because Orchard Road was so quiet, and there's no even have, as what Sun Hua said, no traffic light, no traffic coming to Orchard, and morning was very quiet, afternoon very quiet, even evening is also very quiet. So it's scary, but we try our best to move everything online and to do takeout and delivery. In fact, we work with RAS, all the restaurants, how can we help you? So we publicize all their offering on the online space, and we even link them up with the logistic company to do delivery. And so this is the beginning of the impact of the pandemic. So our learning curve has extended, and so in 2021, we obviously push ahead with our Christmas light up. We saw the beautiful picture, and we just completed a very successful Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Orchard was chock-a-block, there's a heavy traffic jam, and all our event, all our promotion designed in such a way that it's not just online, it's not just offline, but you need to come now to Orchard to shop to redeem. So that is our way of bringing traffic to Orchard routes, especially Singaporean. And during the July to September period, we also launched a Fiesta on the Great Street. So this, by and large, is also an online event. And thankfully, we have two major banks come on board with us. One is UOB, the other is Amex. We mount a series of different campaigns and to help retailer capture sales via these bank channels, and so it was quite successful. And we also continue with our work rate on Wage Street. For those people who are not familiar, this is actually an initiative together with HPB to actually help our worker working on Orchard Road to have a wellness program and a healthy lifestyle, especially the work in the F&B sector. They tend to have diabetes, they tend to have overweight problems, and so we helped in reaching out to all these workers to ensure that they have a healthy lifestyle. This is our this year Christmas in Bloom campaign, as I shared earlier. So this is this year Christmas light. I hope you have seen some of the light on Orchard Road, and it was very, very successful. We believe that the coming week, even more traffic will coming to Orchard Road. Usually the third week of December is very, very heavy traffic. And you can see there is a Mandarin hotel. Currently it's Mandarin Hotel, but they're in the midst of converting to Hilton Hotel. By February or March, they should be opening. And you can see the wall that is 36 meters high. This is the product of pandemic, because the building owner themselves trying to work with the authority to activate this wall for a long time, And so when OBA heard about this opportunity, we came in and talked to Singapore Tourism Board and various government agency, and so we hope to turn this wall on and alive, and so that we bring bus to Orchard Road. And we're happy to say that the agency STB was very, very supportive. And for this to work, actually, we also need multi-stakeholder to come together. Actually, the projection is come from Ngee Ann City, and the wall is borrowed from OUE. So we are very happy to have this product that it's not a commercial product, but it's a tourism product, because 80% of content is about the street, it's about the STB mascot Merle coming to Orchard Road and the Christmas light up. So we are very happy this year that we have a beautiful light up. And even on the streets, we are unable to do a lot of pop-up store. We managed to do only one, but we managed to do some different program. For example, the music in the air. So basically, if you come down to Orchard, you can hear music ringing in your ear, which is a Christmas atmosphere music, and so you can enjoy it. And then this is just now I mentioned about the giant wall. Let me see if I can turn on the thing for you. Yes, take a look. So it's a 3D, and with the app you can see the virtual reality as well. This is the STB mascot Merle. Okay, I shall stop the video because the video is quite long. I think for continuation, I will invite you to Orchard Road to take a look. It starts from 8 p.m. every night. Okay, the next one. Okay, other key event that happening, as I mentioned about Black Friday, this is the first time we team up with Lazada as a platform, but we do it differently because it's not about just go online to shop, but you need to physically come down to redeem some of the offer. So that's the way we do it, right? And just on the which I mentioned, working with UOB and Amex as well, and Wood on the Wage Street, just I mentioned earlier. Okay, this is the pop-up store. The only pop-up store that we managed to put up is the Lazada as part of commitment to help them. And so it's just a viewing a gallery, you know, there's no activity inside as part of the safe measure protocol. Okay, so despite of the pandemic, we over the last 2 years, we see different shop continue to invest in Orchard Road. So we are very happy that Orchard Road still stay relevant. Orchard Road is still a location of choice. And one of which I want to highlight is actually the Eggs Sludge, just opened in October at the Scotch Square. And today, if you go there, the queue are still there every day. So I'm very happy that the business are really good for them. And also we have our hotel stakeholders continue to invest in Orchard Road, and you can see the remaking of the Pan Pacific Hotel is very beautiful at the Claremont, and the upcoming Orchard Hill residence, which is at the Bedford route, and then the Connect City Center, the Singapore Edison Hotel at the Cascadian routes, and so these are all the upcoming hotel that is going to open hopefully end of next year. So Orchard Road will still remain as the first to market and good for the brand to come in and reactivate and refresh Orchard Road. So this is something that I mentioned about the upcoming plan for Orchard Road on Orchard Road. So of course, with the permission of Singapore Tourism Board, I share some of this detail. First and foremost is the rejuvenation plan of the open air car park at the Green Route. This was successfully tendered and won by Lendlease. So this car park about 5,000 over square feet, and it's going to turn into a lifestyle and event space. And their anchor tenant actually is Live Nation. As you know, Live Nation is a concert promoter and hosts many events. So it's I was told it's a 1,000 seat event space. So you can hold concert, can hold events and brand launch and different lifestyle offering as well. And I was told also there are exciting F&B lineup at the outdoor car park area. And so this is going to be an exciting addition for us. Hopefully they can open in end of next year, or if not early 2023. Then of course there's this Emerald Hill that STB has planned to turn it into a pop-up event space as well. And not to mention about Faber House, that they have announced that they will also turn into a hotel. You know, the current Faber House is just an office space, so they're going to turn into a 250 key biophilic hotels, and by of course the UOL groups and Somerset Belt. The NCCY also have planned. You remember the skate park? They are actually going to rejuvenate and also retender to interested party for interesting lifestyle concept as well. So this is my final slide. As you can see from the distribution and the development of Orchard Road is flanked by 4 key MRT stations. Orchard Road is about 2.88 kilometers long. So people keep asking me, how long is Orchard Road? I just give them this analysis. They are altogether 13 Starbucks stores on Orchard Road. So you can imagine how long is Orchard Road, right? And so there are 6 hospitality is going to open in 2022 or 2023. So one of which, of course, is the old Hilton turned into the Voco Hotel, and then the old Mandarin Hotel is going to turn into Hilton, the largest in Asia Pacific, I believe. And of course, there are a range of other lifestyle retail offering, like Adidas Prestige store going to open soon. And so these are the exciting things that's going to line up for Orchard Road. So we want to look forward and plan for the recovery, and together with our tourism colleague, to make Orchard Road exciting, relevant, and for Singaporean and for our visitor from overseas to come. Thank you. This is my end of presentation.
Thank you very much, Stephen. So many things to do in Orchard Road. And then I must confess that, I'm not aware of some of them. And so many new developments coming up. So we can be sure Orchard Road will stay relevant.
I can be your personal tour guide. I can be your personal tour guide if you come.
I think we all should bring our family members and loved ones to go and enjoy the Christmas light up. Have fun, shop, and have a good time. We all deserve this. Thank you once again, Stephen. Yeah. So the last item on our agenda today is our panel session. And to help us moderate the session, let us welcome Ms. Karen Yu, Group Editor of TTG Asia. Karen, please.
Hello, thank you, Sunhua. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I must say, when I watched Stephen Goh's presentation, it brought back memories of me actually going down Orchard Road on Black Friday. I was able to shop very little because there was a massive crowd everywhere, but it was great, being up there and taking in the atmosphere. It felt as though COVID never hit us, actually. So I was really grateful for the Orchard Road retailers for putting up such a great festival, great show, great vibes, actually. So thank you, everyone, to our association representatives earlier who provided us a peek into what their association and members have done to right through 2021. From here on, we will focus on the way forward, basically how they expect 2022 to pan out, how they're preparing for what may come in Singapore's travel, tourism, and hospitality scene. If you're just joining us now, allow me to get you acquainted with our panelists. So we have Peh Ke-Wei, Vice President, Passenger Development Division with the Changi Airport Group. Ke-Wei, you may turn on your video if you can. And we have Margaret Heng, Executive Director with the Singapore Hotel Association. Stephen Le, President with the NATAS organization. We have Dr. Meng, Vice Chairman, Association of Singapore Attractions. And last but not least, Stephen Goh, Executive Director of the Orchard Road Business Association. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Now, before we begin, I would like to bring up a poll to better understand the profile of the audience we have with us today. So, Kenneth, can you please activate the first poll? The first poll is to find out, is your business most reliant on the Singapore inbound, the Singapore outbound, or Singapore residents? There's a lot of inbound players with us today, huh? At this point, we're running at 78% of the audience population. Okay, so we have 73% of us are dependent on Singapore inbound, 15% dependent on Singapore outbound, and 11% dependent on Singapore residents. Thank you so much. We can end the poll now, Kenneth. Okay. Earlier, we also heard from some of our panelists, how Singapore vaccinated travel lanes have impacted the business. So I'm still curious how business has been for you. So here's the second poll. Will you just indulge me with this? So how has Singapore's vaccinated travel lanes impacted your business? You can only make one choice, so pick the one that resonates most with you. Oh, that's good to know. We have a majority that said facilitated some business recovery. We give this a little bit more time so that more people can respond to this. At this point, we have about 73 people of the participants who have responded. Oh. Okay. It's also concerning to see 30% are saying there's no impact on the business. I'm curious to find out why. If you can share why there's not been any impact, you can put your feedback or your comments down in the chat box, and we will look at it afterwards. Yeah. Okay, Kenneth, we can end the poll and then we can look at the results. Okay, now back to our panelists. You know, we have, it's clear that the Singapore VTL has been the biggest development in recent months to bring our travel and tourism industry back on the recovery track. And earlier on, Margaret also shared, you know, that as of November 25th, 37,000 people have entered Singapore on the VTLs. Now, how does this translate into actual business for your members? I would like every panelist to respond to that question. Maybe we can start with Stephen Le.
Hi, morning. Let me start with inbound. I think from inbound, the number has just been shared by Margaret. I would say there's still a lot of room for growth there. I think the key challenge here is Singapore has always been a hub where inbound from Europe or US typically would love to come through Singapore, but they will also like to visit our regional countries. So with the rest of the countries not fully open, it will still pose quite a bit of challenge to accommodate long-haul visitors to come through Singapore. Even though we did see some of the inbound coming in are staying a bit longer than usual. In the past, you probably there's stay average about 2 to 3 nights. But as I understand, a lot that are coming through Singapore on a business basis tend to stay a bit longer than usual. So obviously that also tells us that some of this inbound business traveler has more regional setup in Singapore, and it's more critical market for them to be in Singapore. However, for Singapore to improve in our inbound number, definitely we hope the ASEAN country will open up soon because that's critical to the inbound traffic. For outbound, we see a very different picture here, primarily with the opening of the key markets ranging from the long haul to Korea and even Japan. Even Malaysia. I was thinking Japan so much of that, right? Definitely the first wave of outbound are definitely the expats are returning to their respective countries. So that was the first batch that we see traveling out. Subsequent to that, definitely is a lot of corporates that we are seeing. So corporate has a strong pickup, primarily to key destination, and of course, a lot has critical business events, functions, and meetings that they need to attend to. And without quarantine, it was a big booster to get everybody start traveling on that business front. Come the third wave, which is the leisure. Well, leisure is a bit mixed, I would say. Primarily, we see mostly FIT, free and easy travelers, couples, people that's traveling, probably not with kids, people who are more readily flexible in terms of their travel pattern and they're ready to go. So a lot of them were booking or redeeming air tickets. Everybody has a lot of miles accumulated over the period of time where they're doing a lot of redemptions. And what they actually did was they just book hotels and they're good to go, right? Because most of this market that opens up are destinations that our Singaporeans are very familiar with, like London's, Paris. All these places are very familiar with. They could actually just rent a car and travel out easily. So that's what we see majority of that happening. Groups are slightly impacted because firstly, it's not going to be a big group. Secondly, people are a lot more cautious about bringing kids out. And also with the VTL, it's also very mixed in terms of which country allows which vaccination to go in. That's caused a little bit of confusion if travelers don't check in advance, right? We did come across a customer who went to the airport got turned back because one of the spouse was not vaccinated with the right vaccine. So those are challenges we've seen pretty much on the ground. So across all, I would say the key things that we also see is a high level of concerns over safety protocol, the vaccination status, and COVID insurance coverage. So those are definitely the key things that's on the top of the mind of any travelers reaching out. So I think with the last few weeks, things is quite fluid. We see a lot of variations of restrictions, country imposing. That definitely has impact in terms of outbound, especially with the returning of 7-day ART involved. For short haul, they may be a bigger impact. So we will have to wait and see come 14 December when Thailand is open up, how would consumer respond to traveling out, given the fact that you had to come back with 7 days of ART? So the cost ratio there could be relatively high in terms of the testing involved. So we'll continue to monitor. And the takeaway here is that we always advise our customers to be mindful that things could be very fluid. Even when you are in that country, there may be restrictions and conditions that may cause a lot of inconvenience. So mentally be prepared and be able to reach out to your agents to help you to navigate through this tough period of time. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, Stephen. Ke-Wei, would you like to comment on that? How has the VTL helped with business at the airport?
Well, for Changi, right, our traffic comprises inbound, outbound, as well as transfer traffic. And I would say pre-COVID, the majority will be inbound, then followed by outbound, and last but not least, our very important hub traffic, which is the transfer traffic. So at the depth of the COVID-19 crisis early last year, I would say April, right? Passenger movement at Changi Airport were at only 0.5%. Imagine that, compared to the same period in 2019. So over the course of 1 to 2 years during the pandemic, right, we see our traffic slowly recovering to 3 to 5%. And that's mainly facilitated by the opening up of connecting traffic, or just now what I mentioned, transfer traffic at Changi Airport. Since October this year, with the announcement of the BTLs, right, we see our traffic increase to close to 5%, which is still a far cry from 2019. Yeah, and this was mainly driven by increases from Southeast Asia and South Asia traffic. And we are very hopeful, with the announcement of more BTLs to come, right? Our traffic will gradually increase. And I just heard from my colleagues looking at data, our November traffic was surprisingly at a very low double digit. The numbers is not sanctioned right now, so I cannot share with you what is the exact amount, but it's a very low double digit. And I'm very happy to say that double digit, because for the last 2 years, we have been living with single digit. And now, finally, we are in the region of a double digit. So in order, to continue this growth momentum, pan out for the travel and aviation industry, right? CAG will continue to work closely with our airline partners, travel agents, and tourism authority, not just STB, but like what Stephen said, we are also working with NATAS, engaging the overseas NTOs to grow traffic, outbound traffic to the destination, to generate greater awareness and interest in the BTLs. Because we did get some feedback that some of the BTLs inbound traffic, it's still quite lukewarm in terms of demand. So we have a lot more work to do. Yeah. We're also optimistic that with the year-end holiday season approaches and advanced bookings start to pick up, the airlines currently operating at Changi, right, may consider increasing their flight, while those who have suspended services due to COVID-19 will also consider reinstating the flight to Singapore. So for CAG, right, our AirHub team is actively engaging the airlines to facilitate their return to Changi. And we are hopeful many of them will answer our call.
Thank you so much, Ke-Wei. I think it resonates so strongly that there's a lot of cooperation, multi-party cooperation needed for Singapore's recovery to set in. So thank you so much for all your hard work. Stephen Goh, would you like to come in with comments on how has the VTL impacted, translated to actual business for your members or your retailers on the street?
Actually, VTL has very little impact on Orchard Road, but there's a very interesting insight that I may share in this forum is that, of course, I have contact with some of the Chinese payment gateway, be it WeChat Pay or Alipay and so on and so forth. I can't name them, but I just give a general. There is a spike in spending using the Chinese app payment. For retailer who has this platform that can gain access to the Chinese aspect stuck in Singapore, whether they are students or they are PR here or they are working here, some for business as well. So actually, there's a spike in spending during the Black Friday period. So in fact, they themselves were surprised by this spike that they have never seen even pre-pandemic. So I suppose this is an interesting market to tap for those expats who got stuck in Singapore for whatever reason. So because China still remains as our #1 target for Singapore as well as for Orchard Group. So I'm very happy to discover that. So maybe our marketing effort could be targeted and reaching out through the Chinese payment platform to all these expats who are living and working or studying in Singapore. Thank you.
That's good to know. Margaret, would you come in next?
The establishment of the designated travel lane is definitely, I think, a bright step forward. And as I mentioned before, it is it takes away the main point of travelers, which is the need to be quarantined. So really, while it's a small step, but it is a meaningful step for the industry because now, I mean, the impact is something very, very like extra in the sense, but the numbers are small. But like I said, it is good. And also what's more important is that now we also see the Malaysian VTL opening up. And we feel that that is very meaningful because a lot of our workers have not seen their families for the longest time. So in a way, although the impact is not so much on business per se, but there is a big impact of what we call sanity for our team members. And that is also very helpful. And of course, with I think today we're really living in a state of what I call fluidity. We really don't know what's going to happen next. You know, so as long as the VTL continues to grow and more countries coming on board, I think the impact will generally, in the long term, be a meaningful impact for both businesses as well as for their staff members. Because until we learn to live with variants that will come along the way, like Omicron, it's going to be very hard to get our life together and continue as it is. So long and short, yes, it is positive step, but all of us, I guess, have been for the longest time been like waiting for business to go up. But I think we just need to be a little bit more patient, and hopefully with maybe the safe management measures reducing to a certain extent, that would also help because a lot of the travelers coming into Singapore, they are also very concerned because they don't know that, for example, we have heard of stories where the visitors come to Singapore and say, you mean that I cannot dine with my whole family, there are only 2 of us? At one point, remember, we had on the stabilization stage, so that was a little bit challenging. So really, if we could work in tandem with the government, I mean, I guess we engaged them to ensure that we could also reduce or some of the safe management measures, I think that would help tremendously to bring up the VTL impact on the industry itself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Margaret. And Dr. Lim?
Well, with Singapore opening the VTLs with more markets, we hope to see tourists back sooner or later. And we anticipate a short to medium term surge in visitors depending on what markets open up. Currently, I do not have the numbers, and I think it's at the early stage of really seeing some of the foreign visitors coming into our attractions. Well, it's a positive step, and I want to echo what Margaret just shared, that indeed we also see the restriction of you cannot come in more than 2 and of course now 5. Right? It was a big struggle. Some of our attractions actually found that really very limiting to how they could open up to more. But nevertheless, VTL is one positive step forward, and we hope to see slowly surging of visitors coming to our attractions. Thank you.
Okay. There's a question that came up on the Q&A box. Pete has said that my observations are that the VTL are being used mainly by business travelers, returning residents and visiting families. So the number of typical FITs is low. Does any of the associations have any hard numbers of what we would regard as true inbound tourists? Does anyone have? I see a lot of shaking heads there. Yeah, I don't think the numbers will be available at this point. But like Dr. Lim and Margaret has said, this is a small but positive step, and it will take time for the leisure tourists to come in. Once they see that Singapore is a lot more accessible in terms of the entertainment and the dining and recreational experiences are available once more social restrictions are lifted. Okay, let's move on to the second question. There's a lot of talk about how travel purpose and intentions will change post-lockdown. What are some of the projected changes that excite you most and why? So some examples of changes to or emerging travel purpose would be, expectation to stay much longer. There are even talks of how people are planning 1 month long holidays once they can travel, a focus on more nature attractions, a focus on more meaningful experiences that allow them to give back to the destination community. So maybe let's talk about, discuss these projected changes and which of them actually excite you most in terms of business opportunities. Can we start with Dr. Lim, perhaps?
Okay, thanks, Kevin. I think it is an interesting and very open-ended question. I think the excitement is, we see, at least from ASA's perspective, the members see unity is strength, and diversity is probably something that we could capitalize on and create very unique co-creation of offering experiences. So this is something which I am very excited about. I mean, personally, as a science center, we are already talking to arts installation, museums, and even some of the indoor attractions, because science is everywhere, and we are seeing how we could combine the excitement of jumping up and down in, let's say, in attractions, to the science, the physics, and safety, and all that also very important part of science and technology. So that is one. And another thing is, we are also seeing beyond just among attractions. Like we have experimented with how ASA collaborated with the Singapore Retailer Association, SRA, in unifying a marketing effort to promote the so-called e-version of Great Singapore Sale. And also alongside with the Singapore Furniture Industry Council and the Textile and Fashion Federation, we can see that as attractions, we can blend into all the merchandising, the F&B, the lifestyle. So in addition to hotel stay, I think these are areas that we can actually co-brand and even co-promote. I mentioned earlier that Science Center is looking out the Western Basin. We are linking up with all the attractions on the Western side, plus all the F&B retail. I mean, take for example, in where we are, the IMM is there, all the retails are there, and so on. And we are also looking at how we could co-create very unique experiences. Like we just ended, Science Center, we just ended our 4 weeks, we call it Untamed Festival. We are really merging and we are creating even evening events that is transforming the way we look at Science Center as an attraction per se. And we're going to multiply that, we're going to partner more people. And earlier in the chat, I saw people talking about bicycle and all that. And bicycle is something which we also see very interesting, because one idea that we came up with is science on bicycle, science on 2 wheels. So we really looked into how we could interface with many other players. And with Changi, for example, our Snow City Farmhouse has gone there to help create a very unique experience in Jewel and so on. So in short, my take of the excitement is the new emerging properties and the new emerging cooperation and collaboration to create very uniquely Singapore kind of letting the tourists see a very holistic one Singapore story and experience. Thank you.
Okay. Margaret, how about you? What projected change would excite you most?
I think the emphasis now will be a lot on cleanliness and sanitation and safety. Safety, Singapore has all along been known for it, and I think that will continue to be the case. But a lot of the emphasis will be on cleanliness, and you will find that when in the past, when hotels are doing the cleaning, they tend to kind of hide it, make it during off-peak period. But today, it will change quite a fair bit. They will make sure that the cleaning is done in the open with the latest technology, and and so that the guest is actually seeing for themselves, good, this hotel is doing it right. So that will become a very critical decision maker actually for a traveler, I would think, to decide whether this is a destination that I want to go to. And the hotels, of course, play a part in this destination selection per se. And for that reason, I'm very happy to say, of course, my members have been really working very hard to make sure that this is the case, to upgrade the hardware and software. And I think the SG Clean branding is fantastic, and I think that should continue. And STB is working very hard on it, and to make sure that the international market is well aware of this branding. And one of the good things that has come out of COVID is actually we have actually escalated our journey in automation and enhanced adoption of technology because of the contactless need. Because a lot of the people want this contactless kind of transactions. So a lot of hotels which were planning to do this kind of a digital adoption has actually gone ahead and do it during this downtime. bite the bullet, do it. This is the best time to do it. And of course, we are also very grateful that there's been a lot of generous funding from the government to encourage, because with COVID, business is down. Where do you get the money from? But because of the funding, it is making it look attractive for the owners to actually say, bite the bullet, let's do it now, because it is meaningful. It is also part of this contactless drive that we want to make it seamless as well for the customers. So quite a fair bit of changes I would see in this in the area of how a guest will select where they want to stay. So cleanliness and safety. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think another aspect of the thing is sustainability and wellness. We do see that as also coming up as a more important trend for at least where the hotels are concerned. I think a lot of guests is also wanting to find out whether the hotel is a sustainable hotel in terms of the environmental sustainability. So you will see that in the new travel trend, this is definitely an area to look at. Wellness, and I think as a result of COVID, a lot of hotels have also come up more creative. They have actually now built into the programming. So a guest staying in a hotel, it's not just about a hotel stay. They get to participate in some of the wellness programs that the hotel come up with, and also enjoy some sustainability tour within the hotel itself. So all this is adding a lot more vibrancy to the hotel scene itself. Yeah,
that's true. Thank you so much, Margaret. Stephen Goh, how about you? What kind of projected changes that excite you most? I noticed that some of the new products that's coming up on Orchard Road include local designers like Vine Artisan and Sunday Folks, and that kind of like gels nicely with the future travel expectations of wanting to do something or purchase even things that are unique to the destination that supports the local community. Is that one of the things that excite you most?
Yeah, I think I would share that. Okay, beside these local brands, I think it's a good opportunity for post-pandemic that to develop our Singapore leg, whereby just like STB trying to promote Singapore brands, even ointments, and even the heritage brand that has the potential to attract all because the future of this my perspective is that it will be more FIT, so they will look for unique find. And so I think to have Singapore brands, local designer, local craftsman kind of product, I think that's why Design Orchard has not exploited to its full potential. I believe Design Orchard could be one of the key location, to promote such a initiative, especially by STB as well as CSG. They did a fantastic job. Of course, it's not mature yet, but I believe that has a lot of potential. And the other factors I would say that is socializing, because working from home is no longer fun because people are tired of working from home. I mean, even you shop online whole day, you also feel very tired. You can see that even Alibaba has to restructure their business now because it's not just attracting the online audience. They even have to go into physical space to engage. So you can see that people need to come out to touch, to feel, to experience. So I believe that the future development of Orchard Road, I think we are in the right direction to develop all these different lifestyle destination for people to come down and socialize. Because even personally, whenever I have a invite, I try not to miss, because you never know you'll go back to the 2-pack again, right? So the 5-packs is fantastic. So I will never miss any invite, that for gathering, for birthday party, or so on and so forth. So I think that's the thinking behind it now.
That's true. Ke-Wei, how about you, Ke-Wei?
Well, I mean, for CAG, right? We were corporatized about 12 years ago. And since corporatization, we look at ourselves as not just an infrastructure or a facility to welcome foreign visitors into Singapore, or to send off our Singapore residents overseas. We always look at ourselves as more than just the airport. And we deepen our engagement with the travel trade over the last 12 years since corporatization. And through that process, actually, I make many new friends. Some of you are here, like Stephen, Sun Hua, and Margaret. So I won't talk so much about the infrastructure per se. So because over the years, you see Changi, we have Jewel, and recently we have the park connector we call the Jurassic Mile, where you can see dinosaurs along the cycling track. And the hub and spoke cafe, where it's a start of the cycling track. I echo many of our these fellow panelists here about wellness. For example, this pandemic has deepened travelers' desire to improve their overall well-being, both mentally and also physically. You know, for travelers, now they may be motivated by their wellness needs to take a trip. It's no more like, I want to see this attraction or what. Maybe wellness will come as top of mind consideration when they take a trip, or they will stick up wellness activities during their travel. So recognizing that CAG together with Jewel, we have been creating or curating new experiences to cater to travelers seeking such a wellness experience. One such example, allow me to share, is what we call the forest bathing within Jewel's forest valley. This forest bathing concept is a Japanese practice. It's a process of relaxation which allows the traveler to be calm and de-stressed. Very important right now because of COVID. And we hope through this process, right, we can excite more travelers to come and see Jewel in a new and refreshing way. Yeah. So this is all part of Changi or CAG's effort to develop the area in and surrounding Changi Airport, or what I mentioned in my aviation update just now, the Changi precinct. So we hope our efforts will allow travelers to see Singapore through a new lens, and with that we add, hopefully we play our little role, right, to add more vibrancy to the tourism scene in Singapore. So for all of you here, if you have not heard of forest bathing at Jewel, stay tuned. We will share with you more in time to come. Thank you.
I'm interested. So you need to let me know.
Okay, I'll let you know. We take it offline.
Yeah. Okay, Stephen, last on the list, what are some of the projected changes that excite you most? But before you answer that, I have a little of a challenge for you. Now, you mentioned about how Singapore is also reliant on the opening up of the ASEAN nations before travelers would come to Singapore, because most of them, when they do come to this part of the world, they want to do a longer trip. And again, I spoke of how month-long vacations are something that people are looking forward to. How does that place Singapore's appeal? Because Singapore has always been known, that as a destination that is good for maybe 2 or 3 days. Although I, as a resident, would say that there are a lot more things that you can do that will require more than just 2 or 3 days. So what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so let's start looking at inbound. Like you say, end of the day, I think we're also working very closely with CAG in terms of ensuring how we have a better transit product for travelers inbound that have a longer durations. I mean, in the past, we have cruises that sort of batch up for people who stay longer before moving on to nearby destinations, be it Bali or Phuket and so forth. I think one of the things where some of the inbound agents also share is how do we create a differentiated product for Singapore. I think one of the key things that we are also working with STB is looking at safe travel itinerary, where we want to ensure that we have a differentiated product for inbound visitors transiting through Singapore, having a longer stay. And I think this is where we all come together working with ASA, SHA to see how we innovate our products that suits to a longer stay duration for our travelers. So that's definitely key. The other part is, of course, NATAS is also working with ASEANTA across my counterparts in the region to align and identify how can we actually work together. I think some of the key things is alliances in the form of safety protocol. That's a key item. 2 is how do we understand the dynamics in the market. For example, Cambodia is opening up a lot more now, and I think those are the things that will propel the rest of the region to consider, review, and see how we can actually learn from those moving forward. So I think that inbound is critical for us to have that connected to ensure that we have a better proposition locally. And of course, having 5-pax dining also helps inbound, because I think a lot are coming in for dining purpose, meeting friends, and dining is a key component to that, right? The only wish list I think everybody's hoping for is we can have that 10:30 extended, right? Because that would be good for a lot of diners who want to have a much longer social interaction beyond 10:30. So to me, those are the key things for inbound as of now, because that's where all the activities happens. In terms of outbound, I would say that we have always been hearing that in the last 19 months, there's a lot of talks about pent-up demand. right? Everybody's talking about pent-up demand. Everybody's talking about they want to travel soon. But I would also say that let's need to further diagnose into what do you mean by pent-up demand? Because as we start talking to our customers, travelers, you know, when you start, oh, I'm waiting to travel, but when you start asking them where you want to travel, what you really want to do, they're actually clueless because it's not the destination they may prefer among the VTL destinations for now. Hence, the restart travel is very challenging. I would suggest, you know, a couple of things that agents or community we plan forward is look at two things. Number one is during this period of time, everybody has developed new interests and new hobbies, right? Like cycling, right? There are things that you're doing that you probably didn't do in the past, but I'm sure you have learned some new skills or new hobbies that you took on. So travel could be an extension of providing you a interest-driven holiday, right? And that's like a very good example is cycling, right? Cycling would be of interest as we can see on the roads now. Everywhere is packed on cyclists over the weekends that we see, and that's a new breed of hobbies that has built. And we also see that likelihood that people will continue to take on their hobby overseas, and that's where the interest-driven holidays would be an extension for new customers, people who has pent-up demand, but they need to know where to go next, what is to do. Recently, we did one to Korea, a small cycling trip that takes you from Seoul down to Busan. And that's where people are extending their travel holidays very differently, because some of the things to consider, of course, with cycling is not a big group, right? It's in your safe groups of friends that you are comfortable with, that you travel together. And actually, you're spending more time in the white wilderness rather than concrete walls among the malls. So those are the things that people want to consider differently. But I think second things I will talk about is really about simplified tours, right? People may want to have a lot more freedom on hands when they travel. They want to be able to navigate new destinations. And thirdly, is definitely I have been receiving a lot of new countries, destinations coming forward and say, let's explore new countries. How can we provide new destinations to our Singaporeans that may want to take a different routes with this new opening? So all these three elements would really constitute in terms of the change in consumer travel behavior. And I think the key thing here is, again, working with all the different stakeholders, is to educate, provide visibility, knowledge about destination and how to travel safe, and what are the possibilities that, you know, by understanding your own customer segment, you create a new travel itinerary for this group of customers moving forward.
Thank you so much, Stephen. I've got a question from the audience. What are your thoughts on the China market? I will assume that this query is concerned with the status of China as an important source market for Singapore, considering how, you know, international travel is still heavily regulated in China. Who would like to take on this question? Perhaps Margaret, would you like to have a go?
Can you repeat the question again?
Okay. What are your thoughts on the China market? That's the question, the actual question. But I am assuming that the query is concerned with the status of China as an important source market for Singapore, considering how China is one of the, considering how international travel is still heavily regulated.
Well, I think looking at how it has the last 2 years, I think the Chinese market will be quite a hard market for us to break through at this point in time, because I think they are strong domestically, so they can afford to continue to be closed up at this point in time. Whether they will open up next year, I don't see it in the first half of the year at least. It's my own personal take, because I think based on it, and I think it also so I think right now it is quite hard to actually have this kind of understanding whether the Chinese markets start opening up. So it will still be a while. So I think we really have to see how else to reach out to the Chinese market in other ways. I think to expect them to come out, because of the fact that they have to go back to go to quarantine, that one is totally a no-no per se. So at the moment, I'm not too hopeful, at least not for the first half of the year. Correct. Yeah. I'm not sure about the rest, whether they the same way.
Can I share something?
Yeah, go ahead, Stephen. Yes.
Okay, my take is that this is an excellent question. I don't really have a real solution, but I think it might offer my perspectives that I think we still need to stay relevant to the China market.
Correct.
So what happened is that even in our Christmas campaign, while we cut back all our marketing budget, but there's one thing that we continue to do is that we continue to invest in our social media in China, which is the Weibo and Weixin. Because our media outfit in China always advise us, you cannot cut it, the moment you cut it, you are out of the game. You need to stay relevant to the China, even though they cannot come over, but at least they remember you. Yeah. So for Orchard, we are actually fortunate because we have a connection to 500 shopping street in China alone, because through one of my old friend who happened to be coordinating a director for the whole China shopping street. So actually, Orchard is still one of their favorite shopping streets in the world, so to say. So every time they invite me for speech in China, they're always interested in Orchard. So I think it's important that we need to continue to reinvent our product, our positioning, our retail, our lifestyle, so that we keep them abreast of what's happening. Not necessarily they have to travel, but the low-hanging fruit, as I shared earlier, is that we need to get onto their payment platform in order to tap the local China tourists, Chinese that already here, so they at least have an outlet. Because like students, I was told that actually their money all came from China because the mother or parents will send their money through their platform so they can spend money, continue to spend money. So I think that China, we should continue to engage them. Thank you.
I totally agree with Stephen that we have to continue to engage them, and I think that's where STB, I think marketing, they do have plans to make sure that all the markets, all our key markets, have to be engaged, and even though in preparation for the upturn. So that's definitely a must. But really is that it will take a while before they start moving to come out, the outbound to come to Singapore for inbound in that sense.
Stephen, is it easy for a travel agency that has always built its business on the China market to convert to another source market? Has that happened during the pandemic?
I think the last 90 months, as we are sort of hibernating with no inbound from China, and the few key source market for us is definitely China, India, Indonesia. Those are the big inbound markets for a lot. Most of the agents here are very focused on that particular source. So if you're doing China, chances are you're 100% focused on China, right? So with that, a lot of them also has different assets locally where they have been able to pivot into different businesses. For example, some may be holding restaurants and they can still pivot with local dinings and that kind of thing. And through this period of time, obviously, a lot has been getting a lot of JSS support, and that helps them pull through this period of time. Now with the JSS ended as of October, the asset test will really be ability to stay afloat for the next 3 to 6 months, with the hopes that the key markets like China will open up soon, right? Because the next 6 months will be crucial. If that's going to go further delay, I think then it will pose quite a bit of challenge for some of these inbound operators on that basis. And like we say, it's I guess it's beyond our pay grade to understand when that's going to happen. There's a lot of factors involved in what likely. First, of course, they want to go for almost as 100% vaccinated kind of scenario, which is challenging. Two is, of course, domestically, when they're going to reopen up. Thirdly, of course, will Singapore be the first market they will consider reopening up, and so forth. But I think the indicators we will definitely observe as when that's likely to open up is, of course, how Hong Kong going to be the first relation between China and Hong Kong, how that's evolving, how they're going to open up. And I think we can take signs from that potentially and give us insights to how's that likely to open up China with Hong Kong and so forth with Singapore. Would it be gradual? Would it be FIT followed by much larger groups coming in? I think those things is something we just have to keep our eyes on to be able to respond to that as we evolve in the next couple of months.
Okay. Let's move on to questions on talent. A question from the audience: what are the service areas travel industry must be prepared at this stage? What are the service areas in travel industry that must be prepared at this stage. Perhaps Dr. Lim, would you like to tackle that?
Well, in terms of frontline, I mean, certainly the understanding of working with machines, automation, processes online, because the customers may actually ask how to navigate on your platform. So our frontline staff certainly needs to have that savvy and IT know-how kind of preparation. That's why we talk about among the ASAS members, talk about how we can upskill them in terms of digital competencies. And another talent is what we also believe that is attractions. When it's not just come here and go and engage. You have this pre, during, and after engagement. And that's why the moving into our digital space give us that added advantage. And people are not expecting that there is this pre-arrival engagement, which is in a way in your cyberspace. Physically, you are here, and then when you leave, can you bring back something with you again in your smartphone and so on? So this will require talent that can curate what we call blended experiences. You really engage them, and that is a good thing, because if we can engage them in our social platform through blended and digital means, then we can create CRM. So our CRM and the way we manage them and understand analytics is important, and so there is also a need to really go into how do you look at data, how do you even understand the sentiment in your social posts, right? People use certain language, machine language, and so on and so forth. Can we use even AI to now tap into this bigger space of our interfacing with the visitors? So digital transformation allow us to transform time and space. And in order for us to really stay in the front of the curve, I think the attractions talent pool need to really up in this direction. Of course, another aspect is a lot got to do with safety, hygiene, and also really adhering to the compliance requirement. And that's also require a very strong EQ. I think you have to handle with so-called demanding customers to say, why should I do this? I don't want to put on a mask and so forth. So the way the EQ and how we handle visitors who may find our so-called requirements a bit too stringent is a skill that we really need to boost up. Otherwise, our frontline staff may be abused, just like the hospital staff, right? I mean, they get scolded and they can get into depression. So there are both hardware, software, and also personal skill sets that we need to upgrade. Thanks.
Okay. Let's move on to another question. Earlier, Dr. Lim spoke of reduced intake at hospitality institutions and courses this year because of the pandemic. How will this impact our industry's ability to deliver on our industry's high-touch, high-engagement promise? Margaret, would you like to tackle this?
I think it is not just about the incoming group of students that will join us in the industry, which we hope they will continue to join us, but it's also about upskilling our existing workforce to actually making sure that we are able to deliver this high-touch, soft touch to this high-touch kind of technology that we have. So I think Meng was absolutely correct. Really, is how do we balance the soft touch with the hard touch in a sense, and there are a lot of in order for us to create a seamless interaction with the customers. And I think today, while there may be a limited number of people in the school today, I mean, there's a reduction, but a lot of the students that are coming out from these institutions are actually a lot more digitally savvy and more prepared. So really is how do we then ensure that when they join the industry, hopefully before they join the industry, the soft touch part is in there. EQ is very important in the service industry because as Teck Min rightly said, so with the amount of safe management measures that we have to explain to our customers, it is not easy because sometimes the customers can be quite abusive if it's not done in the right way, and it's not right for our service staff to suffer that consequences in that sense. So really, it's for us as employer to make sure that we actually equip our staff, our team members with the right skill sets in order to handle difficult situations. So soft touch is really important. Yeah.
Okay. There's a question from the audience about hiring now. What are the new roles available in 2022? Are there any training sponsorships for those who are currently unemployed, previous tourism staff who are now delivering food and driving Grab? I think ultimately the query is concerned about job opportunities in Singapore. How are you seeing the hiring landscape in the Singapore's travel, tourism, and hospitality industry right now?
I think in the sorry, can I answer this?
Yes,
I
go
think
ahead, Margaret. Go
in
ahead.
the hotel industry, we are optimistic. In fact, we are quite looking at hiring more and more people. In fact, a lot of my members are hiring, in particular the F&B area, because there is really a shortfall of staff in that area. So if you are looking for a F&B job, service job, the industry is definitely hiring, even in some of the frontline job as well. So please do consider hotels for your next career. Yeah.
How about Peh-Wei? How is CAG as an employer right now?
Well, COVID has really impacted our business a lot, and we have seen attrition we have not seen before, and we have been losing quite a fair bit of aviation talent, and with that, we also have the blessing from our management and the board, right, to slowly ramp up the recruitment too. Pre-COVID, whenever we advertise a position in Changi, right, we have like sometimes hundreds of applications. Right now, that fall to maybe just double-digit number, and that's an indication that a lot of people, or I would say even fresh grad, some starting on that new job, they are actually not looking at the aviation sector right now. But the last few months with the announcement of the VTLs, kind of turned things around a little bit. Our recent our advertisement for job vacancies in CAG, right? We are starting to see more and more applicants right now. I think that this positive trend will continue. And for us, I think for CAG, we believe that we need to ramp up the recruitment of aviation talent, those who have left previously, and hopefully we can attract them back, because we need all the talent to really scale up and ramp up the recovery effort. Because with all the travel demand still a little bit lukewarm for some of the VTLs market, we need to really go out there to shout about Singapore. We welcome you back. And that's where we need more talent than ever before.
Okay. There was a follow-up question on job opportunities in the, next year for locals in the hotel. I think Margaret has already addressed that there are more job openings in the hotel. So if you know of someone who's looking for a job or replacement, reach out to perhaps SHA or just checking with all the various hotels in Singapore. Okay. I have a question for Dr. Lim and also for Stephen Goh. Throughout the travel freeze, we have seen some incredible creativity and work to spur local residents into exploring and appreciating their own backyard. Were there similar, or rather, hotels have also partnered with tour operators and businesses outside of tourism, such as fashion labels and fast food brands, to elevate the staycation experience, for example. Yeah. Were there similar partnerships forged by your organizations during the travel freeze that were unusual and which would not have been considered, pre-pandemic? Maybe Stephen Goh, you could go ahead first.
Okay, Orchard is a precinct. So when we think precinct, we always think about our stakeholders. Our stakeholders are quite complex, from hospitality to restaurant, departmental stores, small shop retail, office as well, and landlords, tenants. So our needs and wants are quite complex in the sense that to work with the external party, it takes a lot of effort. But what we have done so far is that we, as a precinct, we try to bring our stakeholders together. For example, when during the circuit breaker, what we have done is that we mount a series of campaigns to help all the restaurants to come together to offer takeout and delivery on a single platform. So as a marketing channel, we help them to push this out. Hopefully can get some business for them. That's one. Number two, of course, for some of the hotel members who are more forthcoming, if they are not a vaccinated hotel, if they are not a vaccination center or quarantine center, so to say, we work with them on some retail packages, whereby if you offer a certain staycation room rate, we will tie you up with some of the retail, they can come with a package as an offer. So we do cross-marketing, we do cross-selling within the precinct. Not that we are selfish, but I think that is the the more effective way of reaching out to our stakeholder and see their business grow. But as I say that the Singapore brand, the local designer is something that we are also very interested. So we are working with, looking forward to work with TEF for Design Orchard, because from time to time they have a certain campaign that we can support. And hopefully one day this brand will be showcasing in some of the retail center, whereby in departmental store or even shopping mall, if they are successful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. How about you, Dr. Lim?
Oh, Karen just called me TM or Meng. I mean, that's nothing to be doctor about. Well, I like to share using, because Stephen talked about a brand. We have created a new brand of events anchored by Science Center, but we certainly work with more than just Science Center per se. We have other stakeholders. We call it the Untamed Festival. And last year was fully digital. This year we go into both blended physical and actual. And last weekend we closed off by what we call Untamed After Dark. And this Untamed Festival is actually a whole of Singapore kind of festival that showcased what we call the science behind sustainability, science behind the way we project ourselves as a green island and green place. And we call this year's Untamed Festival a theme, Rebooting the World, knowing that the pandemic has caused us to really rethink, reimagine, and reboot the way we want to plan ourselves forward. So this Untamed Festival, we not only do it as Science Center event, we actually partner, for example, the Singapore farmers. We have farming of vertical gardens. We have farmers in the floating fish farms and so on. We also partner very interesting F&Bs. We look into alternate food source, alternate way of really creating food on a sustainable basis. And we even work with certain restaurants, F&B outside. So when we run the program, we actually encourage our participants. There's a digital game that they go on board. They need to collect enough points to reboot the world that is represented in like almost like a Second Life kind of world, or you can call it a Minecraft kind of world. And they have to go around to different parts of Singapore, be it F&B, be it installation, be it some kind of attractions that has got to do with sustainability and so on, and also certain brands of certain things. We even work with embassies, and therefore to reach out to their own, those who are not into Singapore, the local foreigners who cannot travel out. And that turned out to be a very interesting platform. And we also open up the whole digital platform to overseas. The last I heard is we have reached out to 2.1 million people. And this is again to keep the mind share of Science Center as well as Singapore to the outside world. So yes, we see this new thing, and the experiment showed us that it is possible to work. We even brought in bands to come and perform at the Science Center, and we can really go to lifestyle as well, because we work with at least one of the vendors from one of the shopping malls came in to do certain things with us. So we'll see more of this, and I hope that again, going back to what I said about emerging new property through co-creation, through collaboration and cooperation, and we could create something that's uniquely Singapore. In fact, one of our ambitions is this Untamed Festival shall be in STD calendar, because it's going to be an annual event and it's growing bigger and bigger. When we first started last year, the Boston Consultant Group actually picked us up, and we are the only one outside America to be featured as uniquely interesting, purposefully creating a platform for engaging people using digital platforms. So we are using digital and blended, physical and virtual and cyber to create a totally new, brand new experience, brand new Singapore. Thank you.
That's great. Earlier in Jeannie's presentation, she spoke about the formation of an Experience Singapore Compendium in partnership with a few organizations. Was Natas one of them, Stephen Le?
Yes.
Yeah. Could you give us just a sneak peek into what this SG Compendium is about?
I don't know the details for now, so I can't go into too much of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind that. It's okay. We'll move on to the next question. With all the new experiences that emerged in the past 2 years to drive domestic tourism, do you see Singapore's appeal as a destination for leisure and business events changing? And what will these observed changes mean for travel, tourism, hospitality stakeholders like yourself? Perhaps Stephen, Stephen Le, you'd like to tackle that?
For meeting and events, I think this is always has been a big driver for inbound. But we're also cautious about, in the last 19 months, again, we have been pretty much locked down. While that's happening, our competitors across the region are also booming. So we need to take stock of things where we need to, that's where we have been having dialogue sessions with the ministries where we are also encouraging and suggesting that we need to speed up in terms of our opening. Because not forgetting, Singapore has been a very key MICE and meeting destinations, right? Big conventions, and I think we're very critical that everyone is dependent on that. Inbound agent, hotels, attractions, Orchard Road. We all need that component coming in, right? So we have competitors across Dubai, Sydney that are opening up, right, and are doing a lot of big events. We need to really get back in the game because we don't want to lose that out. Because some of this event, once it's moved out, you're going to take years to bring that back. So I think those are things that we're mindful of, and it's important that we need to really hope to open up our borders a lot safer. So I think with the past event done on the Bloomberg and those concerns, it already give us a very good readiness that we should be pushing for a bigger opening. So with that, I think that's something that is important as an industry. So it's not just about business traveler or leisure, but I think it's the big events that's going to be the driving force for the reopening.
Okay, perhaps Stephen Goh, you'd like to take on the questions as well. What are the new experiences that emerged in the past 2 years to drive tourism, domestic tourism? Do you see Singapore's tourism appeal changing as a result of that?
Of course, the way that shopping experience been rolled out, I think will change. One of the big part, as what Margaret shared earlier, I think sustainability seems to be one of the factors that in choosing your product, as well, especially the young traveler, the young Singaporeans, and actually they're talking about all these eco-friendly materials, the supply chain, and the source market where it came from. I think all these new area of concerns and new area of attention. I think we need to seize the opportunity by tweaking our format, be it hotel, be it retail, be it shopping mall. I guess a lot more has to be done to engage this group of people to come down. This one. Number two, we are heartened that I think there's confidence in some of the brands that will continue to renovate their outfit at the same time. New brand coming in, a new hotel, and new F&B are in house. So I think all this rejuvenation and all this transformation will bring into the holistic new market for the pandemic shopper. So I think we need to catch that wave and be prepared for that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Dr. Lim, would you like to also comment on that?
Okay, yes, I have a problem clicking on the mic. Well, I believe that I think many of us will agree as operators of attractions, locals are probably the most demanding guests. And sometimes I'm a Teochew. Teochew will say, "Kakinang pasi bo Xianggang." That means because we are people of our own people, we can be very demanding. And therefore, entertaining our local people since the start of the pandemic has, like it or don't like it, has honed and refined our industry. And I think our staff, I would say, become better prepared to welcome back our tourists. So this demanding domestic customers give us that extra pressure to become even better, and also allow us to discover aspects that probably we didn't notice. If our locals enjoy, I think the foreigners will also enjoy, and the locals will be also a very good mouthpiece. Like I said, many of our foreign PR and people who work here who cannot travel out, they probably discover more of what Singapore can offer. Just give an example that we had some embassies people coming in and they didn't know that we have our digital dome and so on and so forth. And one of the embassy, because we partner different embassy for our Festival, he was telling me that, oh, now that I had this program, I invited the other colleagues from other countries. They're now very, very jealous of me because they never knew that he had this lobang, so to speak, to partner us and show something that's very attractive to foreign visitors and so on. So I would say, yes, it has driven us to become bolder, more daring, and I think we are dealing with hardcore and demanding tourists because Singaporeans tour a lot. So I think overall it is a positive thing. We really come out from COVID stronger and leaner in that sense, and hopefully the recovery will see us going up. Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else like to contribute to that question? Okay, if not, we'll move on to it's time for a poll. Kenneth, can you bring up the third poll? Okay, when will unrestricted travel around Asia be possible? Now, this is important because as Stephen Les pointed out, Singapore's appeal as a destination for especially the long-haul markets is dependent on the accessibility of the region as well. Second quarter. It's a close tie between second and third quarter. No one has chosen the first quarter. It's too soon. It's too soon. And with someone has responded with your first quarter option now. Okay, let's see people responding to this. Okay, just give it a few more seconds then. Most of the responses are saying third quarter. Okay, Kenneth, shall we end the poll? There's no action there now. Okay, look at the results now. Yeah, so the 41% are saying third quarter of 2022, followed by second quarter, and lastly the fourth quarter. You know, the thing is we have no crystal ball, right? So this is really based on the information that we have now on how the pace of reopening that the rest of the Asian governments are taking with border reopenings. You know, Stephen, you mentioned that a lot of the travel agents, especially the inbound ones, are waiting, you know, that for the next 4 to 6 months, did you say that they could possibly hold on? Would third quarter be a burdensome stretch for them, you think?
Well, I think everybody, even inbound, outbound agents, we have really had to plan the short term and the longer term plan. And I call it the optimistic plan, you know, and also the responsiveness in the next few months, because things are continuing to be very fluid, right? With various changes from destination that may last minute imposing certain restriction, nobody can predict what's going to happen next of things. So definitely short term wise, be in outbound, we need to continue to stay relevant for outbound or even in outbound agents. Definitely the staycation cruises are key elements of sales product that you continue to market, because that's where you still get the staff to be doing sales, you're still engaging your customers, you still have revenue income, and of course that's with staycation. With year-end coming, a lot more have returned back to business. It's even more critical now to get that in place. So to me, that's going to continue short term for the time being. Well, when it's going to open up, and again, the details of how unrestricted are we referring to, right? As are we talking about unrestricted in terms of back to pre-COVID days? That's going to take a long while, right? I don't think there's any time soon within this year or next year. It could be way back to 2024. So mentally, I think we just need to have a much further horizon to work out so that we become less reactive. We take a longer term approach to look at, in the event if it's the third quarter, how will you have responded with your plans? Are your people ready to get back in the business? Are your customers already there to engage you? Again, the learning experience in the last few months is we have been firefighting in a way. When there's announcements of VTL, every agent is rushing to respond to customers' need to do this, do that. And then come the news that, okay, you got a quarantine and everybody is withdrawing back, right? So we just have to learn from those experiences and not to repeat again as we plan the longer term of things. So I think where we want to see is you need to know your customers. I think be it inbound, outbound, you need to know where your customers are, how you want to respond to that, how do you continue to engage your customer during this period of time. So regardless of whether it's Q3 or Q4 reopening, you know who you can reach out to get a business back in track as quickly as possible. I think that's more key rather than overestimating when things are going to recover, because nobody can predict that at this point of time.
Okay, cool. We're approaching the end of our session. Before we wrap this up, I'd like to get each panelist to give me a one-liner projection of how 2022 could look for Singapore's travel, tourism, and hospitality industry. We start with Stephen Goh, one-liner.
Wow.
Two-liners maybe.
Okay. Be adaptive and stay relevant and stay ahead of the recovery curve. So I think it has to be positive, you know, and nimble and flexible. Yeah.
Okay. Ke-Wei?
Okay, maybe will be, I don't know whether it will sound a little bit cliche. Together, we shall emerge stronger.
That's very true. That's very true. Margaret?
I would say that let's work together. That's important. But I think social responsibility, it will be key for all of us to move forward towards endemic.
Yeah, that's true. Dr. Lim?
Well, I'll say together we ensure that Singapore remains highly regarded, and with the way we handle, it's a very safe place for them to really want to put Singapore as first choice. So yes, that is what I would say. That feel safe when they return to Singapore because of Singapore's brand.
Okay. And lastly, Stephen, what would your one-liner projection be?
Stay close to your customers. Don't neglect them now, even though the border is not open. I think that's key now.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, for joining us, being on our panel. Before I end this, I have a message from my admin. There is a post-event survey poll that you can respond to. I think it's accessible via the poll or /quizzes button. Okay, Kenneth has pulled it out. So yeah, please respond to that if you can. Meanwhile, join me in thanking our panelists who have devoted their time to this discussion. And thank you to Soon Hua for making this event possible together with us. Back to you, Soon Hua.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, all panelists, for such an insightful and interesting exchange. Now, we've come to the end of day one. Please remember that we have got day two. So tomorrow at 10 a.m., we have part two, right? Day two. Now, please continue to log in because you don't want to miss interesting presentations from Singapore Airlines and Dream Cruises, plus our other 4 association partners: Singapore Retailers Association, Restaurants Association of Singapore, SASIOS, and Singapore River One. So lots of good stuff coming up tomorrow. So please do join us. So thank you once again for being with us. It has been almost 3 hours. We hope that you have found this investment of time very rewarding. We try our best to make sure that everyone have a great experience. So have a nice day. Thank you.
Thanks to everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.